Katie Holmes finally breaks her silence about the horrible marriage that almost destroyed her. The secret calls to Nicole Kidman, the burner phones, and the Scientology spies watching her every move. At 46, she's finally ready to tell the world what really happened behind closed doors. Katie Holmes grew up in Toledo, Ohio, as the youngest of 5 children in a close-knit Catholic family. Even before she got famous in Hollywood, she stood out at Notre Dame Academy, a private school for girls only, where she maintained a perfect 40 GPA. She was also involved in theater and performed in plays at nearby all-boys schools. In 1996, she got a SAT score of 1,310 out of 1,600, which was the highest score possible and got her into Columbia University. Her father, a lawyer who had played basketball at Marquette University, wanted her to study medicine. Katie did go to Columbia, but only for a summer photography course. Acting was already pulling her in a different direction. Signing up for a modeling school in Toledo when she was 14 led to her going to the International Modeling and Talent Association competition in New York in 1996. It was her first real step into the business. She had never been acting before and had no connections, but her natural talent made her stand out. She was signed by a talent agent right after the event that same year. She made an audition tape in her basement with her mother reading the other parts while Katie performed. That tape would change everything. She sent it off. Katie sent tapes to casting agents while she was still in high school. One of them ended up on the desk of director Ang Lee, who was looking for actors for the movie Ice Storm, starring Kevin Costner and Sigourney Weaver. Katie was offered the part of Libet Casey, and by early 1997 she was working with big stars in her first movie role before she had even graduated from high school. Her audition wasn't anything special. It was a quiet monologue from To Kill a Mockingbird, but it was honest, and Hollywood took notice. Soon after, she was asked to try out for a new TV show called creator Kevin Williamson of Dawson's Creek was looking for someone who seemed real. Katie couldn't fly to Los Angeles because she had a school play, so she sent another basement tape. It arrived during spring break in 1997, and producers saw it right away and said, "That's Joey Potter." Dawson's Creek started in January 1998, and Katie played Joey from the first episode to the last in 2003. She was the only cast member in all 128 episodes. Joey was a smart, stubborn girl who had real problems like her. Katie gave the role depth and strength, and her relationship with Pacey Witter became one of the most talked about on TV in the early 2000s. In 2012, TV Guide named Joey and Pacey one of the best TV couples. Katie's work on the show made her famous in general. She was nominated for multiple Teen Choice Awards and was on the covers of 17 issues of Rolling Stone and TV Guide. One Rolling Stone article said that teenage girls would scream as soon as they saw her. Some of the show's lines were so hard that she had to look them up in a dictionary before filming. That discipline and focus carried over into her personal life. Tom Cruise was born in 1962 in Syracuse, New York. His full name was Thomas Cruise Mopper Roman, 4. From the start, his life was very hard. By the time he was 14, he had been to 15 different schools and moved around a lot between the US and Canada. He never stayed in one place long enough to make real friends. Thomas Cruise Mopper Roman, 3, his father, was an electrical engineer who had trouble keeping a job. Cruise would later call his father a merchant of chaos, and he said that he was abused physically and verbally as a child. When Cruise was 12, his mother, Mary Lee Pfeiffer, quit her job as a special education teacher and took their 4 kids and started over with their father. On top of all this, Cruise had dyslexia, which made reading hard in school. He had trouble with low grades and low self-esteem, but he found comfort in sports. He loved wrestling and trained hard for it. It gave him something to focus on, but then he hurt his knee and couldn't keep competing. Things got better when his family moved to Glen Ridge, New Jersey, and that's where Cruise found something new. He joined a school play and that changed everything. Before that, in 1976, he was thinking about becoming a priest. At age 14, he decided to attend St. Francis Seminary in Cincinnati, Ohio, after hearing a priest named Father Rick Schneider speak. Cruise was moved by the speech and took it seriously. He went to chapel, listened to the priests, and spent time learning about faith. His friend Shane Demper remembered that Cruise had strong beliefs and saw becoming a priest as a real path. However, Cruise and Demper were caught stealing alcohol from the priests and hiding it in the woods. But other kids found it, got drunk, and caught them. The school didn't expel Cruise. They didn't tell him outright that they liked the boys but thought it would be best if they didn't come back. After that, Cruise went back to regular school and got the part of Nathan Detroit in a school production of Guys and Dolls. That performance lit a spark. The crowd clapped and praised him, and he felt something he had never felt before. Acting gave him a purpose. By the time he was 18, he made a big decision. With the help of his mother and stepfather, he dropped out of high school and moved to New York City in 1980 to become an actor. He had no connections and no money, so he got a job as a busboy to make ends meet. He cleared tables and worked long hours while going to auditions. Soon after he moved to Los Angeles, things started to change. He was signed by Creative Artists Agency, one of the biggest talent agencies in Hollywood, in 1981. That same year, he got his first movie role in Endless Love with Brooke Shields. That same year, he had a bigger part in Taps. In 1983, he got more attention for his role in The Outsiders. Later that same year, he starred in Risky. The scene of him dancing in a shirt and underwear in business made him a star overnight. In 1986, he reached another level with Top Gun, which was the highest-grossing movie of the year. People all over the world knew his name, and he kept climbing. In 2006, Premiere Magazine named him Hollywood's most powerful actor, and Forbes called him the most powerful celebrity in the world. Cruise is said to have a net worth of $600 million, and his movies have made more than $122 billion worldwide. The story of struggle includes a boy who moved around a lot, a student who couldn't read, a teen who wanted to be a priest, a busboy who wanted more, and an actor who wouldn't give up. At the beginning of the 2000s, Katie Holmes and Chris Klein were two of the biggest stars in young Hollywood. She was famous for playing Joey on Dawson's Creek, and he was famous for American Pie. They started dating in 2000, even though they lived in different states and worked on different projects. Klein lived in California and filmed in North Carolina, but they still made time for each other. After dating for 3 years, Klein proposed in December 2003. The engagement was announced and seemed solid in 2002. Holmes told People magazine that they made the most of their time together, even though they didn't see each other very often. But things started to change slowly, and in March 2005, they broke up. Holmes's publicist confirmed the breakup to US Weekly and said they would stay friends. In an interview with Daily Beast, he talked about the breakup and said that they were both successful and having fun during a time in their lives when things were changing quickly. He also said that when the excitement of their young careers died down, their relationship started to change too. A few weeks later, Katie was seen with someone new. In April 2005, she was photographed in Rome with Tom Cruise. It was their first public appearance together as a couple. People magazine said they had only been dating for a few weeks. What made the timing even stranger was something Katie told 17 magazine less than a year earlier, in July 2004, that she used to think she would marry Tom Cruise. It sounded like a childhood dream, but now it was becoming real. Then there was the moment that everyone will never forget. On May 23, 2005, Tom Cruise went on the Oprah Winfrey Show to talk about his new movie War of the Worlds. When the conversation turned to Katie, however, Cruise jumped on the couch, raised his fist in the air, and yelled, "I'm in love. I met her, and she's mine." The crowd cheered, and Oprah looked shocked later that year when she told Good Morning America that she couldn't even figure out what was going on at the time. The interview got a lot of attention, and people talked about it for years. Cruz's image changed overnight in March 2025 when the person who booked her appearance on Oprah spoke at the Ike Awards. He said he was fired from Paramount after working there for 12 years, and he blamed the couches. Later, Oprah defended Cruz, saying that he was genuinely excited and that the media's reaction was unfair. Just a few weeks after the Oprah moment, Cruz and Holmes took another big step when Cruz announced they were engaged while promoting War of the Worlds in Paris on June 16, 2005. This was only 7 weeks after their relationship became public. Cruz told reporters that he proposed early that morning at the Eiffel Tower, with Holmes sitting next to him wearing a big diamond ring. Reporters asked Cruz if it was the most special time he had ever had in Europe. He said it was absolutely, and that he had never been to the Eiffel Tower before. Even his War of the Worlds co-star Dakota Fanning was there, and she said that Tom and Katie were the nicest people and that she hoped they would have the happiest marriage. The engagement surprised everyone, since Katie had been engaged to someone else just 2 days before the proposal. In an interview with W Magazine, she said she was taking courses and had started auditing. She also confirmed she was converting to Scientology at the premiere of Batman Begins on June 13, 2005. She said it was exciting and helpful. All of this happened in less than 90 days. She broke up with her fiancé, started a new relationship, and ended an engagement. Their relationship became one of the quickest and most talked about in Hollywood. On April 18, 2006, exactly 1 year after their first public appearance, Katie gave birth to a baby girl. Suri was born at St. John's Health Center in Santa Monica. She was 20 inches long, weighed 7 pounds, and Holmes announced her pregnancy on October 6, 2005. Cruz's spokesperson said they were very excited. Even before Suri was born, she was in the news because Cruz bought a sonogram machine to keep it at home, which made doctors and the public curious. After Suri was born, the couple kept her out of the spotlight for 6 months, and no one saw her until October 2006, when she was on the cover in an interview with Vanity Fair. Cruz said that they chose the name Suri before they knew what gender the baby would be. He said that the name meant red rose in Persian, and that finding out what it meant later was just a bonus. Tom Cruise's journey into Scientology began in a quiet but life-changing way in late 1985 or early 1986, when he started dating actress Mimi Rogers. Rogers was the daughter of a dedicated Scientologist and introduced Tom to the religion early in their relationship. They got married on May 19, 1986, 1887, but the couple's introduction to Scientology changed their lives forever. Mark, a former executive of Scientology, later admitted that the church played a part in ending the marriage. He said, "I participated in the Mimi divorce and said that both Mimi and later Nicole Kidman had grown apart from church leader David Miscavige." Runyon said Miscavige didn't want them around. Mimi later joked that the marriage ended because Tom wanted to become a monk, and she said he thought he had to stay. Cruz became celibate to protect his instrument, which was the start of a relationship with Scientology that has lasted more than 30 years. People really started to pay attention when Tom went on NBC Today's show for an interview with Matt Lau. What started out as a normal conversation quickly turned into one of the tense celebrity interviews in TV history when LA brought up Tom's comments about Brooke Shields, who had said she was taking antidepressants after giving birth. Tom strongly disagreed with this. He said there is no such thing as a chemical imbalance and called psychiatry a fake science. When La tried to explain that some people need medication, Tom got more angry and said, "You don't know the history of psychiatry, I do." He then went on to talk about medication, electric shock therapy, and how Scientology believes in treating the mind without drugs for 14 minutes. Almost 20 years later, Brooke Shields wrote her own version of the story in her 2025 memoir. She said Tom came to her house and apologized, saying he felt cornered. Shields accepted the apology, but she did say it wasn't the best one ever. Tom's confidence wasn't just based on his faith. His friendship with David Miscavige, the leader of Scientology, gave him strength. They met in the late 1980s and became close right away. Miss Miscavige was Tom's best man at his wedding to Nicole Kidman in 1999 and again at his wedding to Katie Holmes in 2006. People in the church said they had a strong bond and smoked cigars together. Senar Parman, Tom's former chef, said it was a competition to see who could do better. He even got Diem to go skydiving with him. Some people said Tom looked up to Miscavige. The church is said to have given Cruise his own private villa at its secretive gold base headquarters in California, but not everyone believed the friendship was real. John Brusso, a former church official, said Miscavige often made fun of Cruise behind his back. Others said the church kept Tom close because of his fame, money, and attention. On January 17, 2008, a 9-minute Scientology video of Cruise was leaked online. The video was shot in 2004 when Cruise received the church's Freedom Medal of Valor. It was set to dramatic mission, impossible music, and Tom made some bold claims. He said that Scientologists were the only ones who could help in an emergency, and that they were the real experts on the mind and on drug recovery. The church tried to get the video taken down by sending copyright takedown notices. Notices said the video was a stolen and edited version of a private 3-hour event, but the damage was already done. It went viral online and caused anger and ridicule. In response, the hacker group Anonymous started Project Chanology, in which they attacked Scientology's websites and made a video that said, "We are anonymous, we are legion, we do not forgive, we do not forget, expect us." While all of this was going on, Tom started dating Katie Holmes in April 2005. Katie announced at the Batman Begins premiere on June 13, 2005, that she had joined Scientology. The news shocked her family and friends, as Katie had been raised Catholic. Her sudden change confused the people who knew her best. Her childhood friend Harsam said it caused deep rifts in her family. Just 3 days later, Tom proposed. Not long after that, Katie did an interview with W magazine, but it wasn't a normal interview. A Scientology representative came with her and asked the questions. That person had the power to. Katie's words were carefully chosen. This wasn't how she usually spoke to the press. Scientology was becoming a bigger part of her life, and her family was getting more and more worried. Angela D. Schott, a friend from back home, said, "It was so strange, we were all shocked, but when you're boated with someone, I guess you'll do what they want." Katie's parents were Catholic, and they didn't like where things were going. Karsom said, "I know her parents had a problem with it, but I don't see." Thomas Higgins, Katie's relative, said she used to babysit for us, but now she only comes back for funerals and we only see her on sad occasions. On November 18, 2006, Tom and Katie got married at the Odescalchi Castle in Brano, Italy. The castle was built in the 15th century and was connected to the Borgia family. The wedding was a 3-day event that started with dinner at Tom's favorite restaurant in Rome on November 16. On the wedding day, there were flag bearers. Katie wore an ivory silk gown by Giorgio Armani, and more than 150 people, including Jim Carrey, Jennifer Lopez, and David Beckham, attended. Andrea Belli sang at the reception, and they served a 5-tier white chocolate cake. The whole thing was a media spectacle, but not everyone saw it as a celebration. Lee Remai, who later left the church, called the wedding a publicity stunt to promote Scientology. She thought the ceremony was as much about the church as it was about the couple. Katie Holmes felt like she was living in a dream world because she felt like everyone was watching her. According to Marty Wren, who used to be one of the top leaders in Scientology before leaving in 2004, Katie was watched like she was under the Stasi, which were East Germany's secret police. This wasn't just a figure of speech. even Tom Cruise's staff, including his sisters, were said to be more afraid of David Miscavige, the leader of Scientology. For 15 years, they told Miscavige everything about Tom's life. Katie had no privacy and was always being watched. Her fear grew when she learned that Cruise wanted to send her to a Scientology compound called Gold Base in Gilman Hot Springs, California. The place is huge, about 200 hectares, and is used to train the most loyal members. It's out of the public eye and tightly controlled. That was the last straw for Katie. She knew she had to leave, but it couldn't happen. It had to be done quickly and in a way that no one saw coming. In mid-June 2012, while she was in China, she started making plans to leave. Her team gave her some disposable phones, which she used to call her lawyers in New York without anyone listening in on the calls. She used the phones to get legal advice and also to talk to Nicole Kidman, who had a similar divorce from Cruise in 2001, and told her to stay strong and be careful. The phones were switched out often to avoid being caught. The divorce was finalized when she called Cruise in Iceland on June 28. She had already hired 3 law firms in 3 different states. Tom and church insiders later said it was one of the worst moments in Scientology's history. 2 months before the filing, she made another quiet move. She fired Isabella Cruise from her fashion label Holmes. Isabella was Tom's adopted daughter with Nicole Kidman. She had been working closely with Katie and even called her mom. The firing came as a surprise. It became clear after the divorce filing that Isabella's presence gave Scientology access to Katie's business and personal life. Getting rid of her cut off that link, it was a clean break, and it was planned. When it came time to file for divorce, Katie chose New York over California. That wasn't a mistake. It was a smart legal move. In California, courts are more likely to allow joint custody, but in New York, judges are less likely to bend if parents don't agree. Katie wanted to have sole custody of Surrey and knew that New York gave her the best chance of getting it. Her lawyer, Joshua Foreman, told her that New York courts don't like forcing joint custody. On top of that, Katie could file with an anonymous case name to keep things private. In California, everything would have been public a few weeks earlier. She even rented an apartment in Manhattan for privacy reasons while building her case in secret. She wasn't doing all of this by herself in the months before she moved. She talked to people who had left Scientology and had seen the system from the inside. One of these people was Jenna Miscavige Hill, who was David Miscavige's niece and had left the church and become a harsh critic after the divorce. Jenna released a message supporting Katie in which she said that growing up in Scientology had been mentally and sometimes physically abusive as a mother. She said she stood with Katie and hoped she stayed strong. Katie also kept in touch with Nicole Kidman. Katie didn't want Surrey to lose touch with her adopted kids after her divorce from Cruise. According to US Weekly, she and Nicole talked in the weeks before the divorce. Nicole told Surrey to stay strong and that she knew how hard it could be. Surprisingly, the divorce was finalized 11 days after it was filed. A prenuptial agreement shaped the financial aspects of the divorce. Holmes didn't get any spousal support from Cruise's $250 million fortune, but she did get $400,000 a year for child support. Over time, that adds up to $4.8 million CRW, or about $33,000 a month until Surrey turns 18. He also agreed to pay for all of Surrey's medical bills, school tuition, and any other activities. He even set up a trust fund that Surrey could partially access at age 18 and fully control when she is 30. More information came out more than a year later, on September 9, 2013, during a deposition he had filed against Bauer, publishing a lawsuit about a $50 million claim over magazine stories that said he had left Surrey. During the deposition, he was directly asked if Holmes left him to protect their daughter from Scientology. He said that was one of the reasons she did. This was one of the few times Cruise publicly admitted that his religion played a part in the divorce. He also said he found the question offensive and insisted there was no need to protect Surrey from Scientology. However, His answer confirmed what many people already knew. Holmes had been active in the church while they were married, but stopped when she filed for divorce. Cruz also said that he believed Holmes's claim. The deposition confirmed that Surrey was no longer practicing Scientology and that his older children from his marriage to Nicole Kidman had cut off all ties with Holmes. However, it also showed that Cruz had not seen Surrey for 110 days after the divorce, even though he said they talked on the phone almost every day. During that time, he was seen at bars and on vacation, which made people wonder how involved he really was in his daughter's life. In 2015, on November 3, Lee Remini went on Good Morning America and talked about Holmes. Remini had been a Scientologist for almost 30 years and had left the church in 2013. Seeing Holmes and Surrey living freely outside of the church moved her deeply. "I'm touched by it," she said, "because I know now that she did what she did leaving Scientology in the way that she did because she had to protect her daughter, which in a way connects us now." Her voice cracked as she said it. It was a rare moment of shared emotion. Before the divorce, Holmes had already shown she was ready to stand up for herself. On March 1, 2011, she sued Star magazine for $50 million for libel because the magazine had run a cover story with the headline "Addiction Night, Mercati Drug Shocker," and an unflattering photo of her. Holmes's lawyers said the cover made it look like she was a drug addict, which hurt her reputation. The case was settled on April 27, 2011. As part of an agreement, magazine apologized on the front page of its May 9th issue, saying it didn't mean to imply that Katie Holmes was a drug addict or in treatment for drug addiction. The magazine's publisher, American Media Inc., also gave money to Holmes's choice of charity, the Dizzy Feet Foundation, which helps poor kids learn how to dance.